Hey guys, welcome back to the Heads Project. I'm John Ordolaza, and I'm going to be doing a review on Episode 3 of Star Wars The Bad Batch. Now, as I mentioned in my Episode 2 review of the show, I'm starting to see like a little decline in overall epicness. It seems to me that they're going to go back down to grounded Star Wars, which I don't have an issue with, but yeah, like with these 30-minute episodes, you can kind of tell that they're going that route. This episode is not that bad, honestly. You have the Bad Batch picking up where they left off on the second episode. There's a malfunction on their ship, and they crash land onto this very dark moon. And the entire episode, it kind of goes back and forth with Tech and Echo trying to repair the ship and all. It's alright. It's not the most innovative stuff in a Star Wars property, in my opinion. There's not really much for Hunter and Wrecker to do. Wrecker kind of just disappears every now and then. Like, he has little moments with Omega throughout the show, throughout this episode specifically. And yeah, they don't really do much. There's this creature that's been creeping around their ship ever since they crash landed on the moon. It apparently feeds off of like raw energy, so it steals like one of the main parts they need to get the ship running, of course, and it goes into hiding. So Hunter and Omega go out to look for this creature, and this is the part of the episode where I'm like, all right, I'm not really on board with this relationship. It seems a little too forced. If they just made it just slightly more organic, not focus on it way too much, make it like a background thing to begin with, and then later on you can push it all you want. But I don't know, it's just Omega hasn't really earned this spot. She hasn't earned the Baby Yoda spot yet in this show. She's not that cute. Like, she's just a little girl, and she's kind of annoying sometimes. Meanwhile, the Bad Batch are stranded on this dark moon. We cut back to Crosshair and Grand Moff Tarkin. They're trying to assemble the new Galactic Empire. We haven't gotten any stormtroopers yet, but I feel like that's going to be a really cool episode in this show, and I can't wait to watch that. We get introduced to this new Moff guy. I don't remember his name, but he initiates the next step in the army process. They're going to ditch the clones. They're going to go right with just a basic army where people volunteer to come in because he feels that their judgment is going to be better suited for this army as opposed to clones, because you could get some defects like the Bad Batch again. But an entire army where all the soldiers have their conscience and don't have a chip in their head to tell them what to do, isn't that a little more risky than just to have a clone army where you can control? I never understood that, but they make some passable claims in here as to why this army is going to be better than the Clone Army, I guess. This episode does really focus in on the brutality of Crosshair and how evil he can really be, but there's a really interesting scene that follows this one that I'm talking about. So they execute Saw Gerrera's people trying to look for him, but he already escaped, and they do it in such brutal fashion. Like, he tells these soldiers to do it. Those are orders. They kill them all off screen, obviously. They're not going to show that on an animated kids show, essentially. But yeah, like, this came from Crosshair. Crosshair demanded them to kill these guys, and then it cuts to a scene where they're all, you know, relaxing. They're going back into their quarters, if you will. And Crosshair's just slowly putting his gun down, sitting on the edge of his bed. And there's like no talking in the scene. I don't remember there being any talking in the scene, but I really did appreciate this little aspect of it. As they're all walking into the room, you can see like scratches on the wall, and it's all of the tally marks that Wrecker used to make of all the missions that Hunter, Echo, Tech, Wrecker, and Crosshair all used to go on. It was a nice touching little moment that kind of creeped its way into the show right after a brutal murder scene orchestrated by Crosshair, and I really did appreciate that. I actually hope that they do something interesting, really interesting with Crosshair, because there's a lot of potential, a lot of possibilities. What if Grand Moff Tarkin eliminates all clones in general? Like, what if he just doesn't want to deal with them at all? That includes you, Crosshair. So he kind of just sides back with the Bad Batch. That'd be cool. Maybe there's a sacrifice. I don't know. Maybe I just spoiled episode 13 or 14. I don't know. The show cuts a few times back to the moon where all the Bad Batch are, and they're not really doing much. They're just trying to fix the ship. And yeah, it's kind of uneventful on their side, unfortunately. That sucks because they're the Bad Batch. They're the show's main stars, and they weren't doing anything. So that was unfortunate for me. But anyways, that is my review for Star Wars The Bad Batch Episode 3. Let me know down below, what did you think of this episode? Have you gotten a chance to check out the show yet? Episode 1 is definitely worth a watch, hands down. And I would probably wait a little bit longer if you are more of a binge person and you don't like this long game type stuff. You might want to wait a little bit longer for The Bad Batch, because each week is just going to be another 30-minute episode, and I don't know. I'm going to try my best to do reviews for these episodes, but if they're just going to be at this caliber where really nothing's going on, that's going to be a little disappointing. Thankfully, there was still a lot of interesting stuff that they did with the Crosshair aspect of the show. Like, I really did like that. They introduced some of the new clone outfits. There were still clone trooper helmets, but they were all dark blue, almost like deep navy blue. I really did like that. That was kind of cool. And Crosshair's new helmet kind of resembled the Stormtrooper helmet. So interesting to see that, and I can't wait for the introduction of Stormtroopers, that final transition from clones to Stormtroopers. Like, that's gonna be really cool. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and be sure to stick around, guys, because I got a review for Zack Snyder's newest film, Army of the Dead. It's coming later on in the day, so you might want to stick around for that, because there's always more to come.